Welcome back, everybody. Well, plenty going on around here. Tommy and Robin, they've about got all of our lumber stained that we will be using on the porch, which is over there. It wraps around the house. So while the weather's dry, I'm gonna go ahead and get my drain systems put in this breezeway. I'm gonna put a French drain on this side, one over here, and then we'll catch gutter water off of this corner. And I'm gonna catch the house and that little breezeway there. We'll run it out this way, and then I'll tie on to the porch here as well. But I'm gonna be pouring a sidewalk down the middle, so any water that hits back in this breezeway trying to get it to run out of here, I'm just gonna drop it off in a French drain, and then we'll run it off the hill. It'd be shorter for me to go that way, but I got too many lines in the way and I don't want to deal with that. That's the first project at hand, and then we'll get into something else. Well, I got this thing fueled up and got it greased. I'm gonna go back in here with the yard box and try to knock a hump or two down. And then I'll have to do a little bit of handwork around the edges because I want to get it pitched away from the house back to these drains. So let's drag it down, loosen the dirt up, do a little raking, and we'll start doing some digging. When I poured the slab for this house, I let my vapor barrier come up over my forms, and so it was laying out here. So once I got it framed, I was able to put the zip board on it, and then I brought my plastic back up on the outside of the slab, and I was able to take that zip tape and tape it to the actual sheathing. So I've got that slab sealed, so it's got a vapor barrier that comes all the way up, meets with the sheathing, then we've got that waterproof tape on it. So that should keep that ground moisture, should keep it out anyway, or that's the plan. This will show you what I'm talking about. That plastic's coming from under the slab and then wrapped up here to the bottom of the sheathing and then taped to the house. So should have us watertight. Well, I forgot to turn the camera on when I dumped these rock, but that was 6.5 tons, and a Texas Pride didn't have any problem with it. But I've probably had this dump trailer for, I don't know, probably 1.5 years now maybe, but I've been pleased with it. It picked that load up and dumped it like it wasn't even in there. So pleased with that. If you're looking for a dump trailer for the money compared to some of the other ones, this one served me well so far. Now for the fun part, trying to dig these 2 trenches in here without knocking a hole inside of the house. And what dirt I take out, I've got to remove it. So that's the reason I've got the trailer sitting here. So I'll have to scoop it, carry it back there and dump it out. Try not to knock a hole in the house. usually by myself when I'm working on this stuff, and so when you're, you know, trying to cut something and it's got fall to it, you know, to get in and out of the machine, take a transit and check it, you know, every so often, it's just slow. So I'll show you how I kind of keep a reference for myself. That way I know I got the water going the right direction. Like I say, this is not that critical. I just need it to come this way. I'm just trying not to let it get too deep here, so I'm not so deep when I take it down off the hill. But I'll show you what kind of gauge I use. All right, basically all I do is, this is a 9-foot stud, so I'll start at the end and I just run my level on it. As long as I'm having to pick this right hand side up, that means I've got fall. And then I can sort of check underneath my 2x4 if I've got any high spots. I know if I need to go back and cut something out, but I got fall all the way out to here. I'm gonna bring it up just another 4 or 5 feet here, and then we'll move on to the other one. Well, I'll consider that a success since how I didn't knock the house down, but got both of them in. I dug this one a little bit deeper because I'm gonna catch a downspout right here, and then I'll work it right through here, catch this one, it'll fall to here, and then I gotta send it down that way. Well, that's gonna wrap it up for today, but this is what it's gonna look like. Basically, got 2 channels here. I'll have tile in there and rock. But I forgot, when I formed the slab up, I stuck a piece of conduit out in the concrete that comes out in the ground. But I did that so I could run electric from here down to the pond way down there. Now, that's probably stupid, but I figure it's easier to run it down there right now than it is later. So I've got to tie in, go get some conduit, tie in, and I'll bring it out this ditch under the plastic. And then when I connect these two, I'll run it straight down the porch. And then when I get the gutter downspout up on that corner, I'll stick it in that ditch, and then I'll be halfway there anyway. All right, we're ready for some rock. I've got my gutter drain, that's a 6-inch line, and then I've got the perforated tile over here for the French drain. Essentially, it comes back here and 90s up to where it'll catch my downspout. Probably what I'll do is just cap these and then cut the hole out for where that downspout can come in. But I'll have about a 2.5-inch rain drip edge on these stones, so we'll have to bring that downspout out past that, and then we'll be able to hit in that. Then I got another French drain over here, so we'll fill this full of rock, fill that full of rock, and then what you just saw me do, I built myself a little dam down here because I don't want this French drain water once it gets to here, because if I've got some extra stone, I may put a little bit more French drain in here. But if I stop it here and just fill this back up solid, I don't want that French drain water to continue and wash me out here over time. So I basically dug a little dip underneath my plastic, filled it up flush with the bottom of my trench with concrete, stuck my pipe in there, then threw the rest of that bag in there. So that'll dam all this French drain water up, and it'll force it to go in this gutter downspout and head off the hill. out of the mud. Glad to get this done in here between the house and the garage. That way I can keep from beating mud on these stone and just get this water out of here. But I'm gonna go out here and keep digging. We'll run it off the hill and we'll call this finished. Well, this has been a fun last hour. I hit a rock about right in here and I could not get it knocked down. So I moved the ditch over, hit a rock about the same place. So I had to go back in here and essentially backfill from the rock back up to the top, which luckily I'd put plenty of fall on it. I'd just eyeballing it and I knew I was just gonna be throwing dirt back in the ditch, so it didn't really matter. So I had plenty of fall, so I had to basically put dirt back in the ditch and build my fall from there back up to here. So anyway, let's put a pipe in there and cover it up. Well, I got everything covered up the other night, and I had a small pile of rock over there, so I just spread them over this to keep us out of the mud. But I've got another little pile over here. Really ain't enough to mount to anything, but I'm gonna try to spread a few of them through here. Just keep us out of the mud. But once we get everything done, I'll probably have to come back and rock everything again. I'll show you one little thing that I do on a yard box or box scraper, whatever you want to call it, when I'm spreading gravel. A lot of times they're hard to spread rock with because this cutting edge will dig in, and so you'll take all your rock off and then you're just left with the dirt. So what I always do though is I will always pitch the box blade back to where when it sets down, I'm basically setting on the back edge versus the front, and that leaves this off the ground probably an inch or whatever you adjust it to be. But if you want to take more rock, you can pitch it on down to get this closer to the ground. But if you want to leave, you know, 1.5 inches of rock, you can bring this on up. But it sort of acts like a land plane essentially, because it sort of rides across the ground on this back blade and doesn't allow you to dig in the front. Now, if you go to try to back and push a pile, you'll dig a ditch. But I'm going to spread this little pile of rock. We'll see how that little trick does. Here's what I'm talking about. I'm sitting on the ground in the back. If you'll notice, I'm up a little here in the front. That's not a real good place to do that. Here's what I'm talking about. If you'll notice, I'm on the ground in the back, but I'm probably an inch and a quarter off the ground in the front. So it'll keep me from digging in. So let's put it in this pile and see if we can drag some out through here. Pretty good. If you can get that front cutting edge maybe 3/4 off the ground, you can basically pull material with you, and then it'll just sort of scoot across the back and it'll just let them roll out the back. But it does a pretty neat job, and I've got my lift let all the way down, so I'm not controlling it up and down. There's your little trick to try, because them things can be aggravating to use. That makes using a box blade or yard box, whatever you want to call it, that makes it a lot easier when you're spreading rock. But once you pull and kind of get them distributed where you want them, you'll have some of them little ridges. If you'll just go back then and just barely let that back edge just kiss the top of the ground, you can pull those ridges out. Leaves it in pretty good shape. So I'm gonna finish this up, and then I'll take you in there and show you what kind of project me and Brantley are working on. First, you gotta have a place to hang your TV, don't they, Brantley?
Yep.
One right in there, Brantley, right there. Well, Brantley and I got our fireplace box built. Stonemason, he'll come back and wrap this in tar paper, put his wire mesh on it, and then he'll put his scratch coat on it. But in preparation for what we're gonna put out here on the outside, I'll take you back here and show you what I did. Now, I cut me a cardboard TV out last night, and then I replicated what width of mantle I wanted. So then I laid everything out so I could put my framing in place. So basically this was just to hold the header up over the fireplace box. But then I've got this 2x10 mounted in here doubled up, and then I blocked them all the way from the floor. So that's sitting on that blocking all the way up, and then I doubled them. But that'll be so I can secure the mantle, and then I come on up, and then I doubled up 2x10s here, and then that way we'll have plenty of room there to add our blocking for our TV mount. Now I went ahead and put my 2 stiffeners in back, tying it back in this wall. Keep that thing, once you put a bunch of weight on it, it'll kind of marry everything together. But I've got to move my electrical out there, and then I'm actually going to plumb a piece of 2-inch conduit in from wherever I pick that will be behind the TV. So I'll leave it sticking out probably 1.5 inches for that stone, but it'll come out 90, and then it'll come out this side. So I'll bring it out somewhere back in this corner, because we'll probably have some shelving or something in here beside this mantle. So if you need to get wires from the TV out here or some other kind of auxiliary equipment, you'll be able to fish it through that conduit behind it, and it'll stub out right here. So like I say, I'll leave my pipe sticking out a couple inches, and then he can just stone right around it. But other than that, get my electrical in there, then we'll be good to go. But what I will do is I'm gonna figure out exactly where I want my mount to be, and I'll probably come in here with a stained piece of wood, and then I'll secure those to those 2x10s, and I'll have him stone around it. That way we've got our mount screwed to a piece of wood and not having to screw it to those stone. So I'll get back to the fireplace building, but it is Saturday evening, and my main man, he's wanting to go deer hunting, so we're gonna go climbing a tree. Well, me and Brantley had a dry run, but at least we got our exercise climbing that ridge, didn't we? Well, Brantley, sign us off.
Well, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time. And if you don't care, subscribe to old Dad.